Okay, so I just wanted to give you a quick rundown on what I'm sowing in May, but we're just going to have a quick look at April. Now we're looking at the database that I use to manage all of my sowing dates and all of my seed packets and all of the different varieties of veg that we grow and all the different types of veg that we grow, etc., etc. And this database is freely available, and if you check in the description of this video and follow the link, then you'll find out how to get a copy of it if you want to. So let's get stuck into this though. So I don't want to spend too much time on this because basically almost everything is growing well. There's just a few comments to make. First day up, I made my first attempt at sowing rootstocks onto which I was going to graft tomatoes, and that went really badly. And there are quite a few reasons for that, but the main one was that the rootstocks grew far too fast, faster than the seed company said they would, and as a result of that, they were too big. So I had to slow the growth of those down. By the time the tomatoes I wanted to graft onto them had caught up, they were really big plants, and then I had nowhere I could put them where I could keep humidity levels high enough. So basically, it was a whole sorry tale. So I learned some good lessons there, and also why it's such a good idea to anticipate failure and have spares. So I did, and so I'm fine. So what else? Yeah, quite a few things growing really slowly in the greenhouse. It's so cold out there at nights. Things like the spinach and the golden beetroots, things are really slow. So I sowed those on the 5th of April, and they're still probably 2 weeks away from being ready to plant, and they would normally be ready to plant now, so that isn't good. But everything that's inside is fine. So all the tomatoes have done great, all the peppers are doing great, all the carrots are germinating fine, and all the courgettes are up. In fact, we're almost at the point where we're harvesting courgettes from our earlier sowings. And so I'm really pretty happy with the way everything has gone so far in April. I've just planted my potatoes. I always sow my potatoes, my main crops, really late. I actually sow Charlotte as a main crop. It's a great main crop potato, even though some people think of it as a second early. And yeah, the reason I sow mine so late is because I don't like fighting with the risk of frost for the main crop potatoes. There's just too many of them, and I have a plentiful supply of first and second earlies that are already in the polytunnel and the greenhouse, and I've got enough to last me well into August, so there's no rush at all on the main crops. I chit my sweet corn, and by that I mean I start it on damp kitchen roll, and then I transplant it once it's starting to sprout, and that they're both chitted in 3 days, and the cucamelons chitted in 4 days, so I was really happy with those, and everything else has germinated. So that is pretty much it for April. So let's take a look at May. So the first thing on the list are cucumbers. Now, cucumbers are one of the most sensitive things temperature-wise, so you really don't want to be planting those out in a greenhouse or a polytunnel until nighttime temperatures are above 10 degrees centigrade, which means I start mine and they're growing really nicely in the conservatory, and we've already started harvesting those and they're going really well. So I basically start mine in May with a view to planting them out in very late May or early June. I also like planting mine out when they're quite small plants. They really hate disturbance of the roots. Same kind of story with my beans as well. I've got lots of beans growing in the polytunnel, actually wrapped up in fleece at night, just to keep them that little bit warmer, which means I can start all of my main crop, dwarf French beans, and climbing beans much later on. Again, just so I don't need to worry about the weather. And yeah, I'm quite excited about this. I'm trialing some spinach for Jerry at Grow Seed, and this is a spinach apparently that doesn't bolt. We're not sure about that yet, which is why we're trialing it. But I normally use Mikado, which is a great spinach for summer, but I'm really excited to try alternatives. So more, these are my main crop courgettes, my main crop Trumbosinos and Crown Prince. Just the last few Sarpamira, which is really late to be starting those, but it's just because they're going into containers that are currently full of green garlic. And then it's worth noting that I'm starting my storage beetroot crop a little bit earlier than I did last year. It's going in a slightly shadier location, and because I need to harvest all of my beetroot in October in order to plant my field bean crop, I do need to make sure that they actually grow to storage size in the time window available. And they didn't all do that. Most of them did, but they didn't all do it last year. So I am starting them 2 weeks early just to give them a bit more time in summer before everything slows down. And I've got my storage carrots, first sowing of storage carrots, which are the Eskimo ones, and I will have some Touchon as well, not this batch, in June for storage. And that is pretty much it for May. It's quite, for me, this is not a lot of sowing, so I'm actually really pretty fed up, I would say, of sowing and seedlings and watering and pricking out right now. So I'm really pleased to have just this very short list to get done. And in fact, almost all of it's done by the middle of May. So everything is kind of winding down for me now. And basically all the way through summer is very easy. Just about an hour a day of work on the allotment, which is really nice, because April and May are pretty busy months. So I did want to just show you a new feature in this database, which is not in the public version of the database that you can download, but it will be in the new version, which is coming in the winter when I get a bit of time to work on it. But basically, these are all my first harvest dates, and I really like this feature in here. Because we're self-sufficient, it's really nice to know how early we can grow different things and when we need to sow them in order to get them this early. So nothing special about having turnips at this time of year, of course, or asparagus, but it's really nice to have really good quality hearted lettuces. It's really nice to have cucumbers. We really love purple sprouting broccoli and calabrese. We like them a lot more than cauliflowers, and so we're harvesting calabrese right now, and we'll be harvesting it continuously all the way through spring and into early summer, and then we stop again till autumn. And then a real highlight for me was getting good quality bacon potatoes in April, and never managed to do that before, so I was really happy about that. Brussels sprouts for leaves. We really love the taste of, and the texture actually, of Brussels sprouts for leaves, and a lot of people are growing those now, and everybody's giving me the same feedback. Everybody loves them. So yeah, a lot of people grow Brussels sprouts as a leaf crop, and there is a special technique to doing it, and yeah, it's fantastic. And then our first early potatoes, and we got those on the 11th of April, which was pretty good. We didn't need them any earlier because we had a good supply of salad potatoes available up to the week before. So we just had a nice continuous supply. We grow salad potatoes all year round. And that is pretty much it. I'll just leave you if you want to look at that. There's a link to this database in the description. And of course, each week there's a whole new list of firsts. So I also just wanted to show you updates to my book this month. So I have expanded a little bit the basics section, and this covers, planning, sowing, growing with lights, etc., hardening off, and all of that. So if you're still wondering how I do my sowing, then this is the place to look. And it's not just a book, there's loads of embedded videos and other data and all of that sort of thing in there. And year-round growing guides, I have been working on another one of these, and that is the growing leafy and flowering brassicas all year round. And so this is greatly expanded, and it does go through every month of the year and what you can expect to harvest, and also what to sow in each and plant in each month of the year. So that is pretty comprehensive now. And I still got to add some photos and videos and things to that, but pretty much I'm now marking that one as complete, and the ones that are shown in green are effectively complete, although I'm always improving them all the time. And I've also written some more of the individual growing guides. Now, most of these I'm planning to write over winter, but you can see again there's a few of these that are marked in green. I think I just did one on celery, and everybody knows probably how to grow celery, but I like to have celery all year round, and so this is the guide to how I do that. And I'll be putting some videos in there as well. And I don't think there's any more new ones. Oh yeah, I think I just did one on peas, and I also did one on golden purslane. So there's been a few updates to that. And if you're using my book and you want to keep track of what is new, there's a change history here, and it tells you all the new bits and pieces that I've done. And one of the main things that I've done is create this new reference information section. So let me just take you to this, because I get a lot of people asking me things like, what varieties of things do you grow? Or I can't find this variety that you mentioned in the video. Well, if you click on this link, you get a link to the database with all the varieties that I grow and everything that I've sown so far this year, and all the seed packets that I have in my collection. So those are three kind of very frequently requested things. But also, I find myself it's pretty difficult to keep track of what's happening in each month, and now it's a lot easier because I have in one place everything that we harvested in April, everything that we sowed in April, everything that I planted in April, the tours of the kitchen garden and the allotment that I did, and the sowing video, which is effectively this video for the previous month, and there are just some sample harvest videos, and I think this is pretty useful, and it's quite tricky to get this out of YouTube itself. These are all the videos from the month of April in any year. for all the years rather. So all the previous years, I've been doing YouTube videos for about 4 years. So if you're kind of interested in, what can I expect to be doing in April, harvesting in April or any other month, then look at that months section. So you can see loads of videos all done in the month of April over the last 4 years. So I'm using this quite a lot myself. It's actually why I did it, because I just found that quite useful. And basically, I'm also taking a photograph of the plot from the same spot each month. And so that was April's. It was a really cold month. And so all the covers are on and being closed up at night and all of that sort of thing. So it's it's actually quite an enjoyable thing to be doing, is going for a nice evening walk. You can see that April pretty much looks very much like January. And then finally, I just wanted to remind you that there's also my website. Just go to seasidelife.com and it'll take you here. And this is where you can find my allotment diary. First link here is a link to information about my book. You can buy me some seeds if you want to. There's a link here about how to use the database that I make freely available, how to get a copy for yourself. The frequently asked questions page. I get a lot of questions asked again and again and again, so I do encourage people to go there and take a look, because there's a lot of good answers to the most common questions there. And also my year-round sowing and planting guide. In the frequently asked questions, there's loads and loads of questions in here, including most frequently asked question at the moment, which is, where do I find your book? I'll just go to gardening-ebook.info. There's a link here as well, and I'll take you straight to the book. If you go to gardening-ebook.info, then it takes you kind of this little home page where there are sort of quick links to not just the sections of the book, but also other useful bits and pieces of information, as well as the video that I recorded. It was all about why I did this ebook, and a little bit about how to navigate around it. So I think that's pretty much it for me. And my name's Steve. This is the Seaside Kitchen Garden and Allotment channel, and I'll see you soon.